St. Catherine, Dr. Kurt Wall, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, Mrs. Audrey Sewell, Mayor of Spanish Town, His Worship, the Mayor, Councillor Norman Scott, Custos Rotalorum for the parish of St. Catherine, the Honourable Iselin Goulding, Assistant Commissioner of Police in charge of Area 5, Gary Griffiths, Deputy Superintendent of Police in charge of the Old Harbour Subdivision, Mark Harris, Superintendent of Police in charge of the St. Catherine South Division Operations Office, Hupton Nicholson, Acting Senior Deputy Superintendent of the Jamaica Fire Brigade for the St. Catherine Division, Joshua Davis, Chief Executive Officer and Commissioner of Lands, National Land Agency, Ms. Shalise Walcott, former Chairperson of the St. Catherine Northwestern Adjudication Committee, Mrs. Georgette Stewart Harrising, former Chairperson of the St. Catherine Southern Adjudication Committee, Mrs. Aisha Robb Cunningham, Senior Director Adjudication Services, National Land Agency, Ms. Shalise Porteous, Old Harbour New Testament Church of God, Bishop Hugh Dixon, other specially invited guests, title recipients, teachers and students of Old Harbour High School, stakeholders of the St. Catherine communities, staff of the National Land Agency, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to this National Land Agency NLA Second Systematic Land Registration Titling Ceremony. I'm Dervan Malcolm and I'll be moderating today's proceedings. Today we celebrate with Jamaicans who reside in the beautiful parish of St. Catherine, who after today will be able to confidently say that they are now official owners of a piece of Jamaica land we love. Each title recipient will receive his or her registered certificate of title for land that they have been in open, undisputed and undisturbed possession for 12 years or more under the NLA's Systematic Land Registration Program. For those who are unaware, the National Land Agency's inaugural land titling ceremony under its systematic land registration was held in the Breadbasket parish of St. Elizabeth, where 30 residents received their certificates of title, and following that inaugural ceremony, more residents from 6 communities in St. Elizabeth received their titles, as the NLA hosted several other title distribution events in the parish. The NLA is therefore continuing apace with its efforts to ensure that more people benefit from the program. And so we're here today in the second, well, my understanding is that we're in the most populous parish in Jamaica, this parish of St. Catherine, not to be confused with St. Anne, which is Jamaica's largest parish geographically speaking. But demographically speaking, we are in the most populous parish here in Jamaica, with large manufacturing and agricultural industries. St. Catherine, home of the immense Rio Cobre, the historic Emancipation Square, and the parish that once held the seat as capital of Jamaica, Spanish Town. It is then only fitting that residents from this culturally rich industrial center benefit from a program of this nature. The National Land Agency is cognizant of this momentous occasion and has provided the privilege for all Jamaicans, both at home and abroad, to share in today's proceedings. Today's ceremony is being live streamed in its entirety via the NLA's and the Jamaica Information Services YouTube channels and Facebook pages. We ask that those online will spread the word so that more people can bear witness to the important work that is being done by the government of Jamaica through the NLA. And it would be remiss of me not to recognize the government of Jamaica through the NLA for undertaking a program of this nature. This program is a true indication that the government acknowledges the importance of protecting the citizenry's rights to land ownership. Land rights constitute the foundation for success to food, housing, equality, development, as well as significant economic security. The guarantee of property rights in land has been realized through this program and is a manifestation that the government is including the issue of land rights as a key component in the conversation around human rights. The government should be commended for its stellar work in this regard. We'll now begin this morning's proceedings with the blessing of the event with prayer from Bishop Hugh Dixon of the Old Harbour New Testament Church of God.
We bow our heads for prayer. O Lord our God, how excellent is thy name in all the earth. We exalt thee on high. We extol your holy name. Thank you for the privilege of governance. Thank you for the blessing of servanthood. Thank you for nationhood. Thank you for 60 years of independence and counting. Thank you, Lord, for everything. As we stand in your presence in this monumentous land titling ceremony, allowing sons of slaves and daughters of slaves who are now to be blessed with an entitlement of land, holdership and ownership, that, Lord, the blessings to be brought to their hearts and lives will redound to patriotism and love for nation. Father, we thank you for a government led by the most honorable Andrew Holness, with people in its heart, people at its center, the Jamaica Labour Party, seeking to empower and to uplift Jamaicans who were once disenfranchised, ripped from the motherland, brought across the Atlantic. Now we're standing proud to be recipients of titles of lands we labored on without pay. But today, Jehovah, we will celebrate ownership thereof. We thank you again, and we ask that every person to receive will leave this premises with pride and joy and gladness, and that our Prime Minister and government, the National Land Agency, and other agencies alike will continue to uplift our people. Bless this ceremony now, we ask, in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Ghost. We all say, Amen.
Thank you very much, Bishop Dixon. The National Land Agency is led by an accomplished attorney at law with more than 15 years of knowledge and a wealth of experience in land conveyance. Her visionary perspective earned her the opportunity to lead the agency in its pursuit to provide customers with excellent service in land titling and land information. Please join us in welcoming to the platform Ms. Shalise Walcott, Chief Executive Officer and Commissioner of Lands, to bring her remarks.
Good morning, all. The Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, Minister with our portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, and Member of Parliament of Southwest St. Catherine, the Honorable C. Everett Warmington. Opposition spokesperson for Land, Environment and Climate Change, Senator Sophie Fraser-Binns. Permanent Secretary, Minister of Economic Growth and Job Creation, Mrs. Audrey Sewell. Councillor Claude Hamilton, representing the Mayor of Spanish Town, His Worship, the Mayor Councillor Norman Scott, and other members of the St. Catherine Municipal Corporation. Madame Costas, for the Parish of St. Catherine, the Honorable Iselin Golding. Senior Director, Adjudication Services for the National Agency, Ms. Shalise Porteous. The Bishop, Old Harbour New Testament Church of God, Bishop Hugh Dixon. Opposition Caretaker for the Southwest St. Catherine, Dr. Kurt Wall. Title recipients, performance of the Old Harbour High School, stakeholders of the St. Catherine community, staff of the National Agency, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. It is my distinct pleasure to be here this morning to welcome you to my hometown. I am a proud Old Harbour girl. The National Agency is pleased to welcome you to our second land titling ceremony under the Systematic Land Registration Program. The last time we were in a setting of this nature was at our inaugural titling ceremony in Newell, St. Elizabeth, where 29 certificates of title were distributed. Since then, we have distributed more than 500 titles in other communities in St. Elizabeth, including Flagaman, Podston, Queensbury, and the Essex Valley area. As of today, Wednesday, June 1st, I am pleased to announce that we have prepared a total of 5,123 titles under the Systematic Land Registration Program. And today, we will be distributing 128 titles to residents from the communities of Old Harbour, Church Pen, Sharpers Lane, Thompson Pen, Bushy Park, and Old Harbour Bay. Today's distribution will bring our total to 628. But please be reassured that persons that have applied for titles under this program will receive their titles during the course of this year. The NLA remains committed to ensuring the security of property rights through the implementation of an efficient land registration system. Prioritizing the preservation of land rights is par for the course of the government to establish a firm foundation for sustainable growth, reduce poverty, and boost shared prosperity among its citizens. I'm pleased to also announce that the NLA has acquired a new mobile office to assist in our field work. This mobile office, which is outside, is equipped with an ergonomic workstation that has several amenities that will be quite useful in our field operations. It provides an office environment for persons to interview our applicants, especially in deteriorating weather conditions, provide restroom facilities, facilitate the scanning and printing of documents, and more importantly, provide Wi-Fi that we can communicate with landowners who are overseas. The NLA has also partnered with the GIS for a creation of the Systematic Land Registration webpage on their website. This webpage will feature invaluable information on our systematic program. It will have frequently asked questions, this checklist for the systematic registration process, the declared areas that are declared systematic, and also the adjudication records as they are posted. I extend my heartfelt appreciation to the small businesses of St. Catherine who have been receptive to us and accommodating and helpful by allowing our officers to display our records at your establishment. My gratitude. Additionally, the work of our island-wide adjudication committees have been integral to the work in adjudication. At this time, I would like to especially acknowledge Mrs. Georgette Stewart Harrison, former chairperson of the St. Catherine Northwestern Adjudication Committee, and Mrs. Aisha Robb Cunningham, former chairperson of the St. Catherine Southern Adjudication Committee, for their work in this regard. The combined efforts of all these stakeholders have led to the successful preparation and issuance of titles to the residents at today's ceremony. The National Agency again welcomes you all to today's systematic land registration titling ceremony. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Ms. Walcott, for giving us a synopsis of the progress made in increasing security of tenure and the overall work of the agency. We're also pleased to hear about the new developments in the SLR program, and we're confident that the NLA will continue to improve service delivery standards to effectively serve the nation. Our next speaker is Ms. Shalise Porteous, Senior Director of the Adjudication Services Division at the NLA. Ms. Porteous boasts more than 20 years of experience in the field of conveyancing and has considerable knowledge of the legal and regulatory framework for land administration and an in-depth knowledge of the operational aspects of land registration and titling. At this time, we'll now invite Ms. Porteous to provide an in-depth overview of the systematic land registration program.
Prime Minister, Minister, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, kindly allow me to adopt the protocol that has already been established by the moderator. Good morning. Land is a productive resource that provides a significant degree of socio-economic security and stability. The National Land Agency's systematic land registration program has helped to increase socio-economic security and stability by affording persons the opportunity to acquire land. This land titling initiative assists persons to become legal owners of land that they have been in open, undisturbed, and undisputed possession for 12 years or more, with the process reaching its zenith upon the issuance of a certificate of title. St. Catherine was the second parish selected for the systematic land registration program, and we are pleased to be here for our second land titling ceremony. This parish plays a major part in the history of our island, as Spanish Town was once the capital city of Jamaica, and the first free village was established in Sligoville. During the post-slavery period, our ancestors viewed the acquisition of land as one of the most important badges of freedom. And in this, the 60th year of Jamaica's independence, the National Land Agency is committed to changing the fate of citizens of this country by issuing certificates of title to those long denied the opportunity of land ownership. The systematic land registration process commenced in St. Catherine in May 2001. The NLA placed particular emphasis on St. Catherine because there are existing cadastral maps of land parcels previously surveyed as part of the Land Administration and Management Program, which many of you know as LAMP. The team from the Adjudication Services Division traversed the length and breadth of this parish, from the hills of James Mountain, Glengough, and above rocks, to the coastlines of Old Harbour Bay, and everywhere in between. As a result, over 6,000 parcels of land have been investigated in several communities, including Old Harbour, Bushy Park, Rosedale, Gordonwood, and Thompson Pen. These investigations were extensive and comprehensive in nature. The cadastral maps were used to identify the boundaries of land parcels, and thereafter, the team conducted host-to-host visits in these communities in order to interview persons claiming an interest in land. The team also engaged community members to verify the information gathered from interviews with landowners. Once our team collated the relevant information in the designated systematic adjudication area, the information was then processed in accordance with the Special Provisions Act, and the relevant documentation prepared for the issuance of a certificate of title by the Titles Office. The display of an adjudication record then followed, and this is a document listing the names of all persons claiming an interest in land on the cadastral map of the systematic adjudication area. The adjudication record was then displayed for 30 days throughout the communities, usually at shops, gas stations, or restaurants, and it was also posted on the NLA's website. This process allowed persons to peruse the adjudication record and submit an objection where they claim to have an interest in a parcel of land on the adjudication record. If an objector came forward, they would have to complete an objection to the adjudication record application form and submit the document to me, the Senior Director Adjudication Services, within 30 days of the display of the adjudication record. I would then refer the objection to an adjudication committee for them to make a determination either in favor of the applicant or the objector, and they would then issue an adjudication certificate. Thereafter, that adjudication certificate will be lodged at the titles office and a certificate of title issued accordingly. Now, if there was no objection to the adjudication record, I would issue these adjudication certificates, which were then lodged at the titles office and certificates of title issued in the names of the landowners. I hope that what I have outlined so far gives you a better understanding of what the systematic land registration process entails, because we want persons to understand that the National Land Agency is doing its due diligence and the process is not an arbitrary one. I'm also going to use this opportunity to commend my team from the Adjudication Services Division for their hard work in contributing to this aspect of nation building. Your work has not gone unnoticed, and I appreciate the efforts that were extended to ensure that these investigations were completed in a timely manner, which ultimately redounded to us having today's land titling ceremony. Additionally, on behalf of my team, I would like to extend heartfelt appreciation to our colleagues across all divisions who have selflessly supported the work of the Adjudication Services Division. The continued success of this program is as a result of the collective efforts of the NLA team, but mostly because of our willingness to serve and improve the lives of our fellow citizens. We are also grateful for our new mobile office, which will significantly expand our work in the field and, in effect, accelerate the land titling efforts throughout the systematic adjudication areas. As of May 2022, over 2,500 adjudication certificates have been issued for parcels of land in St. Catherine. We are continuing our land titling efforts in other communities, including Mount Peleo, Graham Pen, Mount Recovery, Spicy Grove, and Rock Hall. And we anticipate that an additional 300 adjudication certificates will be issued for parcels of land in those communities. To the residents who are receiving their certificates of title today, you have personally seen that the systematic land registration process works. The program will be further expanded to parishes across Jamaica with low rates of land registration, and a full list of all the systematic adjudication areas can be found on the NLA website. I charge you, our title recipients here today, and even those who are unable to join us, to become ambassadors for the systematic land registration program. Encourage your friends and family, locally and abroad, to participate and to get their lands registered, as the NLA plus you equal title for you. Thank you.
Can the recipients repeat that last line? Land title, did you hear it? Did you hear what Ms. Porteous said? No? Land title, NLA plus you equal title for you. NLA plus you equal title for you. Okay, ready now, class? After 3. 1, 2, 3. Well done, well done. Thank you very much, Ms. Porteous, for that comprehensive explanation of the systematic land registration program. It certainly helped to put things into perspective and deepen our appreciation for the efforts extended to make this ceremony a possibility today. Our next speaker is the Custos Rotalorum of St. Catherine. And invariably, someone wants to know, what is a Custos Rotalorum? Well, it's the keeper of the rolls, R-O-L-L-S, right? The records of that particular space. In this instance, we have one in each parish. Right, the keeper of the records, the keeper of the rolls, right? Custos Rotalorum, right? And those of you, do you still use that thing called a Rolodex? Roller, right? That's the general idea. So our next speaker is the Custos Rotalorum of St. Catherine, the Honorable Iselin Golding. Custos Golding is a Justice of the Peace who was installed for the parish of St. Catherine on November 23 last year, 2021. A native of Bannister, St. Catherine, Custos Golding is actively engaged in the life of communities in the parish and has put many on the trajectory to development and prosperity. As a community stalwart, she serves as a business operator in St. Catherine, a board member of several schools, including chairperson of the Old Harbour High School, and a provider of scholarships for the needy and promising students, among other things. Custos Golding, who is one of 10 children of small farmers, attended the Freetown and Old Harbour primary schools. After her secondary education at the St. Catherine High School, so she has something in common with the Prime Minister there, but I don't think, no, you weren't both there at the same time. She went on to the Jamaica School of Commerce, where she did secretarial studies. From there, she worked as secretary to the then Custos of St. Catherine, Ivan Vaz. Can you imagine that? Little did she know that that was the precursor to her assuming the position she now holds. What a thing. Please join us in welcoming Custos Rotalorum for the parish of St. Catherine, the Honourable Iselin Golding.
Do I need a stool to stand on? I thank you. Thank you, Mr. Dervin Malcolm, Master of Ceremonies. The Most Honorable Andrew Holness, Prime Minister of Jamaica. Honorable C. Everald Warmington, Minister without portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creating, and a very hard-working Member of Parliament for Southwest St. Catherine. Senator Sophia Fraser-Binns, Opposition Spokesperson for Land, Environment and Climate Change. Mrs. Audrey Sewell, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation. Mr. Claude Hamilton, representing His Worship the Mayor, Councillor Norman Scott, and members of the Municipal Corporation of St. Catherine. Assistant Commissioner of Police in charge of Area 5, Mr. Gary Griffiths. Our Deputy Superintendent of Police in charge of Old Harbour, Mr. Mark Harris, and other members of the Jamaica Constabulary Force. Our Chief Executive Officer and Commissioner of Land National NLA, Ms. Shalise Walcott, Ms. Shalise Porteous, Senior Director, Adjudication Services, NLA, our former Chairperson of St. Catherine Northwestern Adjudication Committee, Mrs. Georgette Stewart Harrison, our former Chairperson of the St. Catherine Southern Adjudication Committee, Ms. Aisha Rob Cunningham, Dr. Kurt Wall, Opposition Caretaker for Southwest St. Catherine, our Bishop Hugh Dixon, Old Harbour New Testament Church of God, this awesome church. Thank you for having us. or the specially invited guests, title recipients, Mr. Linton Ware, principal, teachers and students of Old Harbour High School, stakeholders of the St. Catherine committees, staff of NLA, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I greet you well, and I'm so proud and elated to join you all today. You see, today is significant. It is significant because of the act of kindness, the act of caring. I am sure where the approach is taken by the government of Jamaica through the efforts of National Land Agency to formalize the ownership of lands to the people of this country. I'm also pleased and very elated today that the citizens of St. Catherine are also benefiting from the systematic land registration. This morning when I entered, there was an atmosphere of excitement. I could see the joy on the faces of those persons who will receive titles today. Yes, they were excited, and I'm sure that persons will walk out here today with titles in their hand as proud landowners. What an achievement. When something good is happening, we need a better applause. Thank you. Something good is happening. St. Catherine is moving in the right direction as 121 communities in the parish have been declared as systematic adjudication areas, and field investigations are continuing. I'm sure that the more persons who are now legal owners will positively impact the economic growth in the parish. That is, I'm sure you can now apply for loans for businesses, loans to purchase homes, among other ventures, because you can use the title you received today as collateral. So on behalf of the citizens of this parish, we thank you, Honorable Prime Minister, and the government of Jamaica for declaring so many communities for assistance and advancing the entire cost of legal and surveying charges for the registration process, as you have taken into consideration that many of our people today are unable to cover the cost at this time. Further, we wish to applaud and commend the NLA for their drive, for their insight, for a process so seamless, and the initiative to acquire a mobile office in the form of a bus, just to complement and expedite the process of land titling. Quite thoughtful indeed. Thank you for that. I urge those persons who are laid back to get on board now to formalize the ownership of your land so that St. Catherine is in the forefront as we work together to improve and observe all aspects of law and order in this country. Ladies and gentlemen, there's a saying that we do not have much, but in Jamaica we have a whole lot. It is true. This country is blessed with great leaders. Some are here with us today who encourage initiatives like this to better the lives of the people of this country. On my part, I will engage the justices of the peace of the parish to encourage persons within their individual communities to promote the systematic land registration process and benefits. As community leaders, it is our responsibility to ensure that the citizens are aware of national programs like this that will improve their standards of living. We are also aware that some individuals at times may need the services of the justices of the peace to verify identities and draft authorization letters so that the persons can collect their titles. So I will ensure that the justices of the peace in the parish are actively involved in this process by encouraging them to extend their services to persons they know who may need their assistance. So, Honorable Prime Minister, ladies and gentlemen, with the success of this program, along with the major developments taking place, St. Catherine will become the best parish to work, to live, raise families, and do business. Congratulations to the proud landowners who will receive titles today. Once again, thank you, Honorable Prime Ministers and NLA and all who made it possible for this to happen today and for caring. God bless you all.
Thank you very much, Custis Golding, for those words. And please allow us to formally express gratitude to you in advance on behalf of the agency for your future contributions to the program. Our next speaker is Minister without portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, with responsibility for works, and a Member of Parliament for the St. Catherine Southwestern constituency, the Honourable Everald Warmington. Minister Warmington is an action-oriented leader who is committed to working with his team to find practical and innovative ways to improve the standard of living of his constituents and citizens in general. Born in Browns Hall, St. Catherine, Minister Warmington has been the sitting MP for this great constituency from 1980 to 1983 and was re-elected in 2002. He completed his early education at Browns Hall All-Age School and subsequently the St. Andrew Technical High School before matriculating to the College of Arts, Science and Technology, CAST, which is now the University of Technology, Jamaica, UTEC. From there, he graduated as a quantity surveyor. He became involved in politics early on in his life as the Vice President of Young Jamaica and the Vice President of the Student Council at CAST from 1974 to 78. I now hand you over to the Honourable Minister, Everald Warmington, for his remarks.
Mr. Chairman, Most Honorable and Holness Prime Minister, Custis Rotterdam for St. Catherine, Honorable Iselin Golding, CEO of the National Land Agency and Commissioner of Land, Ms. Shalise Walcott. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I'm indeed delighted to attend this systematic land registration titling ceremony, which is another brilliant initiative executed by the National Land Agency to improve the titling process. As a Member of Parliament for St. Catherine Southwest, this ceremony has special significance for me, as some of the members of this constituency will be receiving their titles today. I wish to congratulate the recipients and to commend the National Land Agency for their efforts. Under the able leadership of our visionary Prime Minister, this administration realizes that nothing is more empowering to the citizens of a country than owning their own piece of land. But we also realize that without a title to back up their claim, there is very little that persons can do with their asset. And so, as the nation moves into its 60th year of independence, and we celebrate another important milestone in our development, we are working to ensure that today, more than at any other time in history, more Jamaicans are the proud owners of not only land, but titles to their lands. The aim of the systematic land registration program is to increase rates of land registration across the island, as well as raise awareness about the benefits of obtaining security of land tenure. One of its primary goals is to address the approximately 300,000 acres of land within the island that are unregistered, with an estimated value of more than $200 billion. I know that over the years, the National Land Agency has been implementing various initiatives to reduce the volume of unregistered lands and increase the number of titles for ordinary Jamaicans. I commend them for the efforts and for this latest initiative. Systematic land registration is, in simple terms, is the orderly registration of parcels of land in a selected area known as a systematic adjudication area. In January 2021, the Prime Minister declared several communities as systematic adjudication areas. As at May 2022, a total of 218 areas have been declared as systematic adjudication areas, including 121 areas right here in St. Catherine. At the end of the 2021-22 financial year, on the systematic land registration program's adjudication process, the National Land Agency issued a total of 4,382 titles for the parishes of St. Elizabeth and St. Catherine, of a total of 5,000. I want to pause to again commend the National Land Agency for this achievement. The government has advanced the entire cost for legal and surveying fees for the systematic land registration process. However, persons will be required to pay these costs after the certificate of title is issued. Let me repeat, for the recipients of titles today, you are to repay the cost of the legal and survey fees after you received your certificate of title. Ladies and gentlemen, this morning's ceremony is a testimony to the indomitable spirit, hard work, discipline, and self-sacrifice of the team of the National Land Agency. We cannot build a strong economy or improve the quality of life for our citizens without ensuring security of tenure. To the recipients, today you become a part of a growing number of people in Jamaica who can say those two powerful words, I own. Your titles will ensure your financial independence and peace of mind, for that is what having a title means. It is an extremely important piece of paper. Having your title means that the land is yours by law, and nothing or no one can separate you from your land. I encourage you to make the best use of your asset and work to keep up the value of your property. I am grateful to all who have made this day possible. Thank you for having me, and I look forward to attending more titling ceremony of this nature in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister Warmington. We appreciate your presentation, and we look forward to your continued support for the systematic land registration program and seeing what more you have in store for this constituency and the country on a whole during your tenure as Minister without Portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation. It's time now for us to pause and welcome the Old Harbour High School Choir as they treat us to some entertainment for this morning's proceedings. Let's hear it for Old Harbour High School.
Power belongs to God. Power belongs to God. Power belongs to God.
I think we can all agree that that was a delightful performance by Old Harbour High School. Remember, they were the champions in All Together Sing in 2016 and 2018. And we can understand why. That tradition continues. And some very, very catchy Jamaican folk songs there as well. The part about drinking rum until, no, that was just, that's a song, right? So you're not allowed to imbibe at your age. But yeah, thank you very much, Old Harbour High School. Thank you. Well done. At this time, we will hear from our keynote speaker, an insightful leader who can effectively leverage the strengths and abilities of his team to realize the vision of shared prosperity for all Jamaicans through inclusive economic growth and meaningful job creation. To do this, the government, under his leadership, has prioritized ownership of property for all Jamaicans, and that ownership of such property is done in a legal, transparent, fair, and accessible manner. He's committed to building on the initiatives undertaken over the years to ensure that more people can own land and possess documentary proof of that ownership in the form of registered certificates of title. This, he believes, can empower each citizen who is given that opportunity with a renewed sense of ownership and pride in Jamaica. Our keynote speaker is the Prime Minister of Jamaica, the Most Honorable Andrew Holness. Over to you, Honorable Prime Minister.
Thank you, Dervon. No, I'm not that tall, Dervon. This is fine. Thank you, Dervon, for your adept mastery of ceremony. And I was addressing an event on Friday, and I took some time to explain why it is that we have so many ceremonies. I have one Minister of the Cabinet here with me, Minister Warmington, obviously several public officials, and we could be doing other things with our time. We could be doing the administrative work of the government or developing policy, but we will be here for another 20 minutes. No, maybe more than that, Shalise. Okay, maybe another 40 minutes in ceremony. Now, I'm not saying that ceremony is not useful, but we have to limit the time we spend in ceremony so that we can spend time on the other functions that we have. And eventually I will be giving some directions in this regard. I spend, on an average day, I may have 2 such ceremonies to attend. For example, today I will have 3, which narrows my time. But in a sense, Honorable Custos Golding, it is a good thing, because we have to have these events to show to the public that the government has achieved something for which there should be a crowning moment. A moment where we declare to the public that your government is working, that the government has achieved something that is worthy of public broadcast, that is worthy of an event to mark as a milestone achievement. So today we are in ceremony to mark another milestone in ensuring that the Jamaican people have documentary evidence for which there can be no contest as to their ownership of probably the most important asset that anyone can seek to own, and that is land. Now let me give a little context as to why we are here. It was mentioned earlier that the first free village was in this parish, Sligoville. Bishop Dixon, I believe you were the one who mentioned it, or was it? It was Ms. Porteous, the senior director of the Adjudication Services, who mentioned that. Now, there was never an orderly process of land settlement in Jamaica after the abolition of slavery. And it became quite chaotic. It was not until in the 1950s that there was some process of trying to ensure orderly settlement and titling of land. There were attempts before, but there was none that you could call systematic. So right throughout Jamaica, there are persons who occupy land. They say they own it. Some say it's family land. Others have been living on the land for decades. But if you were to go and ask them, show me some proof of it, they wouldn't be able to. But as far as they're concerned, they own the land. They would not be able to go to the bank to get a loan or to use it as collateral because there is no proof of it. Now, to be fair, many Jamaicans have been over time going to the government to have their land titled. But if you leave it up to this ad hoc process, it could take a long time because not everyone is going to be so motivated. The government of Jamaica decided that we're going to put in place a systematic process of trying to bring some order to land ownership in Jamaica. And we created, first of all, there was several programs before, LAMP, land, all kinds of programs were put in place. And now we are at the point of systematic land registration and the parallel process of adjudication. Now, what that means is that the government will declare an area as a zone in which, instead of waiting on people to come to us, we're going to go to them and say, we have a cadastre, meaning a record of all the boundaries of properties in an area. Basically, it is a map of land plots in the area. And we have some information that you have an interest in it, or we will advertise it and you come to us to say, yes, I have an interest in this property. And we go through a process. If there is any form of contest for the land, meaning somebody else declares an interest, or there is some confusion as to exactly where the boundary is, we appoint a committee, and that committee will help to resolve any differences. Once that is resolved, then we will issue an adjudication certificate. And from that adjudication certificate, then we can move to a process of delivering your land title. So we have changed it up a little bit now, that instead of waiting on you, we are moving to have it done systematically. Now, just to give you some facts, in 2021, the government of Jamaica, using this process, would have issued about 3,400 certificates of adjudication. 3,400 in a year. Now, it was said earlier that there are about 350,000 parcels of land that are unregistered. So if you work out the rate at 3,500 or 3,400 per year, it is going to take you about 100 years to give titles to all the unregistered parcels of land. That's a very long time, Shalise. So there are some things that we will have to consider as to how to increase the capacity of the NLA to increase the processing rate of systematic land registration. There are a couple of things that I believe are already in the works, and some that we need to consider seriously. We take note of the fact that the NLA is increasing its capacity. It has just acquired a mobile unit which will allow it to go into communities, because it is not just taking a cadastre or doing a survey, but the officers of the NLA actually go into the community, walk on your road, knock on your gate, look at the boundaries, interview people, talk to your neighbor, talk to the justices of the peace, who are the repository in most cases of knowledge about people in a local area, to establish ownership, establish boundaries. Of course, if the matters are such that it cannot be resolved by the adjudication committee, then those matters would probably end up in the courts for the courts to make a decision. But outside of that, the government has also put in some serious resources into one, contracting with professional services to have the certain areas in Jamaica surveyed. I believe we have a relationship now with Geoland, and they are going around doing the surveys, preparing the cadastre, so that we are able to go into the communities. The NHD put forward some resources to assist in paying for the process of doing the land survey, and of course that initial funding would have to be repaid, as Minister Warmington was pointing out, and Shalise pointed out as well, that you are going to be required to repay for the cost of processing once the title is issued. And I believe that a lien would be placed on the property to secure our interest in it. So we have put up the money to do the land surveys, we have put up the money to do any legal work that is required and the processing that is required. But as you are titled, you can repay us over time. And it is the repayment of these funds which will then go back into doing another round. So your repayment will help others to be titled. And we may have to consider even further allocations to increase our capacity so that more titles can be generated. But I believe we have another area in which we have to pay critical attention to. If we're going to do this and increase the scale, we're going to need more trained land surveyors. That's number one. We do not have enough land surveyors in the country to undertake this massive challenge of increasing the pace of titling of land. And so there are certain discussions underway, I'm aware, about how that process can be made more efficient in bringing more commissioned land surveyors to the table to assist in developing the cadasters. But another area that the government has to focus on is the integration of technology into our processes. And the surveying technology is quite advanced these days. You know, you can use satellite technology, and you can use satellite technology, meaning GPS, and you can use drones, again, with some GPS reference. Those are not yet integrated fully into our framework of surveying property in Jamaica. But the government will have to move very quickly in this regard to integrate technology, because the technology is becoming far more accurate in many instances than the conventional approach. And we can't be behind time in terms of the adoption and mainstreaming and integrating technology into our operations. So it is therefore key to have technology as a critical variable in increasing our land registration process. And I was just mentioning to Ms. Walcott that we will have to maybe make some changes to our legislation to ensure that this is done. If we do this and do it very quickly, it is quite possible that we could shave off about 30 years of the 100 years. So you see the problem that we have, that even with the introduction of technology, even if we were to increase the capacity that we have in terms of your own officers being on the ground and doing the adjudication, and even if we were to increase the funding for the cost of doing the surveys and so forth, it would still be a very long time before we have every single parcel of land in Jamaica titled. It is a massive undertaking. But I'm not saying this to discourage you. What I'm saying is, and why we are here in ceremony today, is to explain to the country that we have started, that we have put in place an institution that is going to systematically address this issue in a proactive and instrumental way. That we are not just going to wait on persons to come in an ad hoc way, which we have about 1,000 persons per year coming in an ad hoc way, trying to rectify, trying to certify and register their titles. What we are doing now is that the government is moving to get your titles registered. And I believe that once the NLA and the adjudication committees, they develop the institutional knowledge and the processes and they refine them and they become more efficient, it will become an even more simpler task for them to do the certification and registration of land titling. And that efficiency gain in their operations will further reduce the time it would take to have all the 350,000 parcels registered. So I'm confident, and I feel very happy that we now have a system in place that is going to ensure that every square inch of land in Jamaica falls under a register, a public register, that secures the property rights and interests of the persons who own it. And that is a major achievement for Jamaica 60. We may not realize all the benefit now, but we have the system in place that will last and will accomplish it for the generations to come. So for that, I'm very happy. I want to, in closing, just make some final comments. Land in Jamaica has always been a very contentious issue. It is bound up with all kinds of social considerations, justice and equity considerations. But in the conversation about land settlement, land distribution, we have never paid attention to the importance of securing property rights. So the debate about lands has always been how we should make it available, how people should access it, but we have never emphasized the system of protecting ownership of the land. Now, as we change the society, which is what this is doing now by giving title to persons who own land, it will become far more socially and politically important to ensure that the interest and rights in property for the average Jamaican is protected. I want you to just reflect for a moment on what I'm saying. Presently, you may be on your land, you may go overseas, and you come back and you see somebody build something on your land. And you get into contention, but you really can't do much because you don't have a title for it anyway. We have seen situations in the country where, you know, land is there, people just move on. People just move on. On the land, build up all kinds of things on the land. Because we do not have, well, we do have a system to defend and protect the property right, but because the land is not in that system as registered as having ownership that is unquestioned, you will always find that there is this attempt to go and take over and use land which you have no rights to. It's a touchy subject. It's a delicate subject. As I said, it is bounded in all kinds of social issues, because you can imagine the other side of the conversation. I see the land here, I don't have nowhere to live, I want to do a little farming, somebody have the land here and not using it. Where is the social justice in that? And it creates a tension in the society, because you can add other things into that social injustice. How did they come by the land? Because from generations the land passed down from persons who may have been colonizers. Or is government land? Is public land? What that does, for each time we have this unplanned, unregulated, uncoordinated settlement and use of land, is that we limit the future development of the country. The biggest challenge that we face right now in trying to bring public order, trying to increase the number of houses that we can actually build, is to contend with communities and housing which have sprung up on land irregularly and informally. It's a big challenge, because once it happens in this informal way, it becomes very difficult to go and figure out, how am I going to bring roads to that community? How am I going to bring sewage, water? How am I going to properly police it? How am I going to settle the people on the land, especially where boundaries have not been properly defined? It becomes very chaotic. So the strategy of this government is, one, to acknowledge the social justice and equity issues in land settlement in Jamaica. What my government says is that we believe that every single Jamaican should have access to a minimum standard of shelter. That's where we start. That we are going to ensure that we give every Jamaican a minimum access to shelter. And then we also believe firmly in creating the ownership economy. We believe that every Jamaican household should own some form of asset: land, housing, companies, machinery and equipment, intellectual property. We believe in ownership. Now, ownership isn't just you coming and claiming something that I own it, that I have it. That's not ownership. So you can't just go on the land and say it's my land and mark it out and stake it out. Ownership comes with the acknowledgement of, one, an independent authority, that you have uncontested rights to whatever is the asset or the property, and that nobody needs to look behind it once it is presented for use in a transaction. So once you have the title to your land, nobody can go behind that. You have the title to it, so the banks have to trust it, or whoever you're going to engage in a transaction with, they will have to trust that you are the owner of the property because you come with your title. So ownership is not just your claim. Ownership is your claim backed by the state. And that is a foundational principle of our government, that we must provide a system by which all Jamaicans can participate in the ownership economy through this process of titling and acknowledgement of their ownership rights. And we must protect it. So when you get your title, nobody can come move on onto your property overnight. And you must protect your property as well. You shouldn't just have it there and leave it open. Make sure you go there, go visit, put on your fence. And if you have the property, because another fundamental principle of this government is full utilization of assets. And I say this to all my ministers: all the assets that you have in the ministries, utilize them, because that is how the country grows. So I say to private owners as well, private sector as well, utilize your assets fully. So those are three key principles. We acknowledge the social justice issues. And because we acknowledge the social justice issues, one, we are presently going through all the lands we own in Jamaica. When I say we, I'm speaking now the government of Jamaica. The NLA can tell you that they have been given the directive. Look at the records of land that you have, and we're going to see what lands can be used in a program of housing that we're coming with. And you know you can't build a house without the land. So we're going to ensure that we are building and providing more land. In other words, we're going to increase the pace of provision of shelter over the pace of people illegally and informally taking over land and squatting. So once there is a system where the government is providing houses at a faster pace and at a more affordable price, there is no excuse, therefore, for the illegal settlements to continue. And we're going to do this right across Jamaica. So you don't need to go and squat on a piece of property. We're going to provide an option for you, whether it is the land itself, whether it is the land with a little starter unit, or whether it is full unit. That is how we intend to address this social equity issue, to ensure that we are able to rapidly and very quickly provide the shelter solutions right across the parish in organized communities, so that we can put in the services beforehand, so that I don't have the problem of the community so congested that people can't leave the garbage at the gate. What they do is that they go out to the street side and put the garbage out there, so you have a big garbage pile in front of the community. The community is so congested that police cars can't go up there to patrol. The police just drive past. They have built-in environmentally sensitive area that if it rains and gully banks and slopes that are too steep or unstable, they get affected. We cannot allow Jamaica to continue to develop in a chaka-chaka way. I know what I'm saying is not comfortable. Some people won't like it. But I have to say the uncomfortable things. I have to be the mirror for the country, so that we can change. If this presentation today reaches one person who was planning to go and take over land illegally and settle it illegally, and he changes his mind, we are one person better off. So I wanted to use this platform to explain to the country that the government is not unaware or unsympathetic to the cause, to the concern, the genuine concern of people trying to find a housing solution for themselves. But it is not a solution to the problem to go and illegally settle and informally settle lands. It just exacerbates and compounds the problem. But I also want to say to you that the government is not only talking about it, the government is actively pursuing a program to provide land and shelter solutions for you, so that you can be a part of formal, regulated settlement that will preserve the value in your asset. So, ladies and gentlemen, I promised that we'll be finished in 40 minutes. I have taken up about 25 out of it. You have been an excellent audience. Thanks for listening, and God bless you.
Thank you, Prime Minister, for that in-depth, stimulating, and indeed thoughtful presentation. We are confident that more Jamaicans will stand to benefit from initiatives geared towards improving land and home ownership opportunities. And now, it is time to turn the spotlight on our 20 specially invited guests for this titling ceremony, who will shortly receive their registered certificates of title. Please note that our 20 guests here this morning are representative of all the communities that will receive their titles today. The remaining 108 recipients will attend later this afternoon to collect their titles. The team of the National Land Agency will remain right here at Old Harbour New Testament Church of God to distribute the titles. So let's now take you through the handover of the titles to the recipients. Please note that the names were not arranged in any particular order, and for this segment we're going to be assisted by Manager Marketing and Public Relations Nicole Hales in making the presentations. And we're going to invite the Prime Minister to make the first 5 presentations. Yeah, let's tell you from now that the actual titles are not in the canisters. You will pick those up a little later on. But for the cameras, you'll pose with the empty canisters, but you will receive the actual certificate later on. So videographers, photographers, are we ready? Looks like we're ready. So the first recipient is Zachariah Antonio Oakley. Next up, Sarah Reed. It could be Sarah as well. Is it Sarah or Sarah? Sarah, yeah. Sarah is more Jamaican. Yes, there's a song about Sarah as well, a Jamaican reggae song. Next up, Keith Hugh Hibbert. Next up, Ina Foga. And being Jamaica, I'm sure most people just say Miss Ina, don't? Miss Ina. And to round out the first 5 recipients, Ann Knight. Being accompanied by, is that Mr. Patrick Davidson? Royal Patrick Davidson. Thank you, recipients. Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister. And now, Minister Warmington will assist us with the next set of presentations. And the first recipient in this group, Mrs. Dolores Lorna Wellington. In fact, before we come to Mrs. Dolores Lorna Wellington, let's go first to Valerita Davidson. Now we will have Mrs. Dolores Lorna Wellington Broughton. Oh, to be a fly in the midst of the two. Christine Allwood, you're next. And speaking of being inclusive, this is an example. This is a member of the disabled community. But look at her making her way to receive her title, her certificate of title. And she's putting in a little jig as well. How delightful. No one should be excluded. Well done, Christine Allwood. Next up, Melissa Melona Denny. MMD. And now, Alethea Saffron Edwards. So that's the final of the 5 in this group. Thank you very much, recipients, and thank you, Minister Warmington. Custis Golding, may it please you to assist us in making the next set of presentations. And the first recipient in this group is Tajera Angina Raffington. And she hardly looks 18. So again, you see the range at different ages. Titles are being received. Anne-Marie Williams Chambers. Delroy Thomas. And get ready, Paula Jean Harrison. We now invite Ms. Shalise Walcott to issue the remaining 6 certificates. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you, Costas. So now let's welcome Gary Harris. Avano Alfredo Fadigal. Learning some new names today. Avano Alfredo Fadigal. Oh, so that should be an I. Okay. Ivano Alfredo Fadigal. F-A-D-D-E-G-I-L-L. Thelma Veronica Cephas. Monica Marian Dixon. Elvis Hugh Haywood. And there's no doubt who Elvis Hugh Haywood is supporting. Jamaica, of course. And finally, Paula Dorcia Campbell. Full of color. Thank you very much, Ms. Walcott. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, please join us in giving a rousing round of applause to our landowners, our newly minted landowners. The systematic land registration program has revolutionized the land titling system in Jamaica and will make far-reaching changes in the lives of these residents. We're certain that we can all agree that the presentation of these titles has been remarkable and exciting to witness. These residents put their trust in the systematic land registration program, and they have certainly not been disappointed. At this time, we invite Mrs. Hope Harnett, Senior Director, Business Services at the National Land Agency, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Good afternoon, everyone. Prime Minister, Minister, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, can allow me to adopt the protocol that has already been established by the moderator. It gives me such great pride in delivering the vote of thanks on behalf of the National Land Agency. The National Land Agency, NLA, would like to thank our Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, for being in attendance today and for delivering the keynote address. His strong and decisive leadership to the nation building holds steadfast as the systematic land registration program continues to pivot in response to the needs of our citizens. The systematic land registration program is a high-quality national output that has been a game changer in the country's land titling process, as many Jamaicans have benefited and stand to benefit from acquiring a certificate of title for their land. NLA remains committed in applying its resources on a daily basis in ensuring that the objectives of the program are achieved. We are all also grateful to the guidance of our Minister with our portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, Honourable Everett Warmington, and Member of Parliament of the Southwest St. Catherine, whose presence here today and remarks reminds us that we will always have his instinctive support. NLA is appreciative of having the Custos Rototom of St. Catherine, Mrs. Iselin Golding, who took time out to be here today to deliver her remarks. Her contribution to the St. Catherine's community development are appreciated and a true testament of service of above self. And to our dutiful CEO, Mr. Shalise Walcott, who has remained true to the commitment of the SLR program, by offering stellar leadership and guidance as we work towards ensuring that our citizens benefit from an efficient land titling system that guarantees security of tenure. We also wish to thank our Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, Mrs. Audrey Sewell, for attending today's event and her continued support of the work of the NLA. Special thanks to Senator Sophia Fraser-Binns, Opposition Spokesman on Land, Environment and Climate Change. The National Land Agency appreciates your attendance and in support of today's titling ceremony. We also wish to acknowledge Dr. Kurt Wall, Opposition Caretaker of St. Catherine Southwest, for his support of the systematic land registration titling ceremony. Mayor of Spanish Town, His Worship Councillor Norman Scott, the National Land Agency thanks you, and by extension, the entire St. Catherine Municipal Corporation for your support. To our title recipients, residents of the declared systematic registration areas, and the wider St. Catherine, the NLA thanks you for your support of the program and the commitment to nation building. Without you today, titling ceremony would not have been possible. The NLA wishes to thank you for allowing us to continue to come to your communities and assisting you in becoming owners of a piece of Jamaica land we love. Because of you, we can show others, both home and abroad, that the systematic land registration program does work and it is here to benefit us all. Extreme gratitude to the organizing team of the Old Harbour Testament Church of God, who agreed to provide this venue for hosting this event and assisting with today's mobilization activities. A special thank you to Joy Reynolds and Mrs. Genius. Thank you so much. Special commendation to Senior Superintendent of Police in charge of the St. Catherine South Division, Christopher Phillips, and the NLA also says a big thank you to you and your officers who are committed to maintaining order as you continue to serve, protect, and reassure. Special thanks to the students, the teachers, and the staff of the Old Harbour High School. The NLA appreciates your delivery of the entertainment item for today's titling. It was awesome, wasn't it? We wish you all the best in your educational pursuits, and we at the NLA will continue to collaborate wherever possible. To our stakeholders and special invited guests, thank you for your attendance and your continued support of the work of the NLA. Today's ceremony would not have been realized without the team from the Adjudication Services Division, led by Ms. Shalise Porteous. Their individual contributions are integral in continuing the success of the systematic land registration program, and the NLA salutes you. Many thanks to our Survey and Mapping Division in ensuring that the survey plans, which aided the identification of parcels for the declared systematic adjudication areas, were produced on time. This aided the Land Titles Division, which worked tirelessly to produce the certificates of title, which we are presented to our recipients today. Special thanks to the Titles Office and Survey Mapping's team and their continued commitment to going above and beyond the call of duty. Also integral in the work of the systematic land registration process is our dedicated and hardworking Land Valuation Division team, who prepared the valuation role for the parcels within the designated declared adjudication areas. Our officers from the Estate Management Division must also be highly commended, as they are the buffer between NLA and the communities we serve. They are the eyes and the ears on ground, and we are truly appreciative of their hard work and dedication. Many thanks to our Business Services Division that worked tirelessly around the clock to coordinate and expedite today's event. I lift my hat to you all. We are all grateful and thankful to the Information, Communication, Technology, and Corporate Services Division that played their roles in ensuring today's event is streamlined and flawless. Today's successful staging is our second titling ceremony for the systematic land registration, and is culminated in their logistics acumen, innovativeness, and dedication, which has resulted in yet another stellar event. Members of the senior team, management team, and staff of NLA, I want to say thank you to you. Today's event is a result of your continued hard work, dedication, and commitment to the mandate of the agency. I also wish to highlight support of our partners who worked tirelessly and aided in the successful execution of today's titling ceremony. The National Land Agency extends gratitude to our media partners, Jamaica Information Service, and for today's live stream, and has allowed Jamaicans both home and abroad to watch today's titling ceremony in real time. We also wish to thank the Nationwide News Network for today's live radio outside broadcast. Thanks also to our decorators, production resource system, and for the seamless execution of today's event, and our caterers who you'll be having lunch. They'll be provided catering for tasty lunch today. We will also wish to thank all other members of the media who attended today's event, and we thank you in advance for disseminating information about today's titling ceremony and the continued support of the work of the National Land Agency. In closing, it is evident from the NLA's work done so far that shared vision of the SLR program allows us to be unrelenting in the highest ideals of quality service, and we are committed to seeing that our people are given the opportunity to own a piece of Jamaica, the land of their birth. Through commitment and dedication, we stand steadfast in facilitating one agency, one goal. I'd like to also extend thank you for opposition spokesperson Sophia Fraser-Binns for attending, and Dr. Wall. Thank you so much. God bless.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Harnett, for your presentation. Gratitude is definitely a must. Before we close the proceedings, we're going to invite for special presentations to be made to them the Prime Minister, Minister Warmington, and Custos Golding. And the CEO of the NLA will make the presentations. Ably assisted by Nicole Hales. Thank you very much, Ms. Walcott. On behalf of the National Land Agency, we'd like to thank all attendees for being present today to share in this momentous occasion with our fellow citizens. This is a truly remarkable event for these persons, but also for Jamaica. The government, through the NLA, is committed to expanding this system by incorporating technology and innovation to provide high-quality land administration products and services. The aim is to increase land ownership prospects for citizens, as improving equity in this area will lead to the overall prosperity of the nation. To those who have joined us online via the National Land Agencies and the Jamaica Information Services YouTube channels and the Facebook pages, the NLA truly appreciates your support. We'll now turn our attention to the ribbon cutting for the new systematic land registration mobile unit. Members of the ribbon cutting party are, and that's not a new political party, members of the ribbon cutting party are the Prime Minister, the Custos, Minister Warmington, CEO Walcott, and Shalise Porteous, along with Hyacinth Picard, Senior Director, Land Valuation. So those names we just called will move towards the mobile unit, the systematic land registration mobile unit. Landowners, please don't go anywhere because there are group pictures to follow. Group pictures with the newly minted landowners or holders of titles and the Prime Minister and the Custos and the Minister. So this is still streaming live, and so right after the ribbon cutting exercise, the officials who we just named will make their way back into the convention center, and then we'll have the photo ops. From where you are, I gather you should be able to see on the monitors what's happening on the outside. And what a fortunate set of students we have here. Can you imagine all those lessons you would have learned today from being a part of this exercise? That's priceless. Priceless. You could write pages and pages of essays on what you have heard and seen and experienced. I'm sure you have. So from my vantage point, I can see the Prime Minister. Can't miss him. He's rather tall, unlike some of us. So they're positioning themselves for photo opportunities for that ergonomically designed or ergonomically repurposed mobile unit. And as we said, once they're through with the photo ops, they'll return to the building, and they will then pose for photos with the newly minted land title holders. The looks like the door is opening, and the officials, the videographers, the photographers have boarded the mobile unit. And you would think this is the last bus back to Kingston. Look at them going in. The sun is out in all its brilliance. Nice gentle breeze. More photo ops. And for those who have received their titles, congratulations. If there was ever any doubt, those doubts would have been dispelled because the National Land Agency is once again demonstrating that it's one agency, one goal, committed to serve you better. So we're now going to direct the newly minted land title holders to make their way to the platform where I'm standing, because the next opportunity will be a photo opportunity. In fact, photo opportunities. So those who have received, well, technically speaking, you haven't gotten the titles just yet, but you have the canisters. Please take your canister with you for photo opportunity purposes. Apparently it's problematic for the photographers. No? Photographers on the platform or off the platform? Off the platform. All right. Can you capture the backdrop still at that level? Can you see National Land Agency, NLA, one agency, one goal, home of Eland, Jamaica? All right, let me get out of the way. Might want to take cognizance of the height of the persons as well. Those who are as tall as I am will stand in the back, and the shorter ones in the front. Mask on or mask off? Mask on.